Hey y'all, it's Big James, live from the dumps, and you haven't seen my face in a couple weeks. Been busy. Well, a lot of things stirring around in my head, stuff I wanted to talk about. And one thing that has been kind of eating at me is, just work in general and what we do, what we employees, what we do for companies. And we're treated as disposable and just, move on to the next person. And it used to be that you couldn't do stuff like that to an employee. See, the labor movement under Roosevelt, he signed into law about the Minimum Wage Act, and people have got this conceived idea, or this perceived idea that minimum wage is for high school students. It's not a wage to live on. Minimum wage, you shouldn't be able to live off minimum wage. It's minimum wage. And I'm like, y'all need to pick up a history book, because the whole minimum wage law was enacted over people being used for slave labor almost, and it was like, look, if you're going to operate as a company, if you're going to hire people and pay them, you have to at least pay them a living wage. Now, when that was passed, the minimum wage was set at a living wage. You could work a dock job as a dock worker or a loader or whatever, which is not a high school job, mind you, because kids are in school, during the day when people are at work. But believe it or not, at one time, people just got minimum wage for things like being a dock worker or a longshoreman and shit. And the thing is if you're going to work 40 hours a week, you should be able to afford basic housing, food, basic transportation. And now let's move forward 70, 80 years since that law wasn't passed, and corporations and capitalism and corporations have just chipped away at it. And here we are now. It doesn't matter if you're making minimum wage or you're making $20 an hour. It's not enough. The price of everything has gone up, but the value and the price of our labor has gone down. What also has gone down is labor memberships, or labor union memberships, corporations, money, people like the Koch brothers and what, have thrown money into campaigns to smear unions, to steer young people away from these unions that essentially built the middle class. Unions from the 20s, 30s on built America, and in the last 20 years or so, they have just chipped away at unions. And the bullshit the UAW pulled a couple weeks ago, that doesn't help. But you got bad apples in every bunch. We'll look at the current administration. But anyways, people are talking like, oh, minimum wage, it's bullshit. They should just do away with that law, and we'll pay what to pay. If you don't want to take the pay, you don't have to work. Yeah, that would work. So people are going to go and work for where they can get the most money. Yeah, I get that. But you want to do away with the law? Well, here's the thing. Did you not study this? Did they not teach you in school? Because they taught me in school about it. The law for minimum wage is more than just a living wage. It's about a 40-hour work week. It's about them not putting locks on the doors during the workday and locking you inside, not letting you have breaks. It's about keeping children out of the workforce, child labor laws. There's more to that law than just how much you make. And then you got people that are just like, do away with it. Okay, well, we'll do away with that law. You can get paid $3 an hour and you can bring your kid to work so they can work next to you. Well, that's ridiculous. Wanting to do away with the law is ridiculous. A law that protected all that is ridiculous. At the end of the day, anyone that gets up and gives a 40-hour week, I don't give a shit if you're flipping burgers, shoveling manure, whatever. If you're giving 40 hours of your week to someone for pay, that pay should be enough for you to have minimal sustenance to live. Or saying you should be able to afford at least a studio or a room in a roommate situation. You should be able to afford your food. You should be able to afford a fucking bus pass or a bike, you know. Now, if you want more out of life, you go find a better job. But the bare minimum should be met with the simplest of jobs. And to say that these jobs are for high school kids, well, fucking high school kids are in school during the day. So if working at McDonald's is a high school kid job, but you're pulling your fat ass into a McDonald's at noon, how are you helping the situation? You know, it just, you know, high school kids are not in there at noon making your burger. It's a single mom or you know, maybe someone trying to start over in life. And you're saying that even though they're working, they're not valuable enough to be able to afford a roof over their heads and food. And that's just wrong. You know, I do agree with, you know, if you want more in life, go out and get it. Educate yourself, look for a better job, you know, look for better money. Yeah, do that when you get experience or whatever. But who the fuck is someone to say, you know, McDonald's or Burger King's not a career path? Well, maybe Joe Blow from Idaho likes flipping burgers, and that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. He's happy in that job role. Joe Blow from Idaho should be able to afford a minimal living doing that. You know, granted, you're not a heavy equipment operator or a big truck driver, or, you know, you don't have like computer skills and shit. That should pay you more, will pay you more. Yeah, you don't have those skills, but you do give 40 hours a week to a multi-billion-dollar corporation that can afford to pay you a living wage. And then people want to bitch about, oh, they're on welfare, they're this, they're that. Well, okay, look, if someone works 40 hours a week, not only should they be able to afford the bare minimum, they shouldn't have to get in fucking line for food stamps. And you want to talk about how these working people are a drain on society. How, oh, I'm paying for them to eat. Well, let's put it this way. I make over 50 grand a year. The money I pay in for taxes, roughly $35 a year of what I pay in goes to the food benefits program. $35. Basically saying at the end of the year, here's $35 for the food program so these kids can eat, so the elderly can eat, people that can't afford it can eat. But on average, someone makes over 50 grand pays somewhere around $2,500 to $3,000 in taxes towards corporate welfare. Companies like Walmart, McDonald's and shit that pay such a low wage because they know that their employees, oh, we can pay them this much, and then they can go to the state and get food stamps and cash assistance if they need it. But yet they're recording record profits every quarter. Every quarter, record profits. And it's just greed. What it boils down to is greed. At the end of the day, it's greed. And you say, oh, well, this person over here, he wants to make $15 an hour flipping burgers, but a paramedic only makes $15 an hour. You're telling me that this burger flipper should make as much as a paramedic? No, I'm not. I'm not telling you that. What I'm telling you is that man that's flipping burgers should make enough to survive. And the fucking paramedic needs to demand higher wages. Because if you're going to go to school for 2 years like a nurse and become a paramedic and only make $12 to $15 an hour, then there's a fucking problem there too. A huge problem. Everyone is underpaid. Everyone, as far as I'm concerned, is underpaid. Our salaries, our pay, be it minimum wage or not, has not kept up with inflation. Like I said earlier, price of everything's gone up except the value of our labor, which has gone down. And that goes in correlation with union memberships going down. So, how do you fix that? Well, you fix it the same way they did it in the 20s and 30s. We have a fucking labor movement. A labor movement. People get together. We get on the same page and say, hey, I'm tired of being used up and disposed of. I'm tired of giving 40, 50, 60 hours of my week to a company to only make enough. And I make good money. I'm not lying. I'm not complaining. I make good money. But it's not enough. At the end of the day, it's not enough. When the average rent is $1,450 to $1,500 on average across the nation, and would they say you pay 20 to 25% of what you make a month towards rent, and rent's $1,500, should be making around $5,500 to $6,000 a month is what a single person should be making to live, to be able to afford an apartment, utilities, food, and transportation. That breaks down about $34, $35 an hour. Now, if you would follow where minimum wage was at when it began and where inflation's at and how inflation went up, if the minimum wage would have followed that, that's where we'd be. About $32, $33 an hour is where we would be. And that means like people like nurses and paramedics wouldn't be making $25, $28, $30 an hour. They should be making about $50 to $60 an hour. The problem isn't fellow man. The problem isn't your fellow citizen. The problem isn't, oh, he works, but he could get a better job and not have. That's not the problem. The problem, like I said a little bit ago, is corporate greed. The concern of the shareholder and not your employee. These companies, these corporations wouldn't have jack shit if it wasn't for the employees. And it's time that the employees realize that. You need to realize that, because without us, they wouldn't have shit. And they need to be told that. Without your employees, you wouldn't have a company. It's time for a labor movement. It's time for people to get involved. And I'm glad to see these young kids starting to see the real issue and wanting to grab it by the balls and take control of it. You have union members that are active and inactive that are behind you on this. Just roll with it. Roll with it. As for Big James, there's going to be some changes in my life. I like my job. I like the people I work with, and I do like my bosses. They're good people. But at the end of the day, it could be better. I need a little more consistency. I need things for me personally because of health issues. It's time for Big James to move on to the union. See, I'm not a mechanic. I don't run a shovel. I'm a driver. I know how to drive. I know how to operate big trucks, be it tandems, end dumps, side dumps, belly dumps. I drive them. I can put them in places. If it can get put in there, I'll put a truck in there. And I want to be recognized, and I want to be valued for what I can do, instead of just being considered another employee that can be replaced. I want to tell you what, when you've got 120 to 150,000 driving positions available in this country that they can't fill, I just go down the road and find another job. I don't want to, but I'm going to have to. I would like to organize labor there where I work now, or organize the union, not labor, but I'd like to organize a union for all the drivers where I'm at now. I don't think they understand that the union gives us Our union dues pay for retirement. Our union dues pay for our health insurance. Our union dues help with representation. But it also gives us a little more power and leverage in negotiating wages, negotiating paid time off, negotiating sick days, vacation days. Like I said, I do like my job, but this is one of the first jobs I've ever been to outside of those jobs I had when I was younger that doesn't have sick pay, that doesn't offer vacation pay. I've had to reschedule doctor's appointments. People, if you have a job that asks you to reschedule a doctor's appointment, you need to start looking for another job. When their bottom line is more important than your health, it's time to look for another job. You're number one. I'm number one in my world. You're number one in your world. You got to take care of you before you can take care of a company. So anywho, it's my little rant about Thinking Thursdays. I guess it is Thursday, so that's a thinking. I've been thinking about this. So there's my Thinking Thursdays for this month. Nah, folks, I just want to make it clear, I'm all about hard work and earning your keep, but I'm also a firm believer that if you're going to be given that much time and energy to a company, the company needs to reciprocate in a similar manner and not just roll with the bare minimums that they can get away with. And the only way to stop them is to organize a union. It's labor unions, the labor movement. It's time again. It is time. Middle class is dying. If they kill off the unions, you can kiss the middle class goodbye. So, middle class built this country. So don't let that propaganda bullshit that they try to throw out there, make decisions outside of what you feel that you want to do. If you want to join a union, you want to be you want to be in a union, you want to be represented, you want that protection, then go get it. If you want a union in your shop, go get it. Talk to your local labor union. Say, hey, I work over here. This is what I do. I want to unionize my shop. How do I do it? And they'll point you in the direction you need to go to do that. I'm going to tell you, here's the thing. You want to unionize? Talk to your co-workers off the clock about it, after work, before work. Explain to them, hey, maybe we should unionize. Yeah, $25 a week comes out of our check. But that's health insurance, that's retirement, that's protection. Leverage in contracts. Get yourself some better pay, get you some sick pay, get you some paid time off for vacation. Because if you don't have a union, corporations, it's just how it is. They're going to give the bare minimum to get the most that they can back out of what they paid in. If they don't have to give you sick time, they're not going to. If they don't have to give you paid time off, they're not going to. But when you shut their production down and you block their drives and you don't let scabs through and they quit making money, they're going to realize you, the employee, you're their money maker. And they're going to realize they're going to have to keep you happy if they want to stay happy. You're going to have to realize that it's not all about the shareholders. And it's not all about the bottom line. Anywho, that's just my rant. All you mother truckers drive safe, and we'll talk to you later.